Make sure YouTube started. I had quite a few people on YouTube on Wednesday, and I didn't even notice it.
Oh, did we?
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody, welcome to the new media show. My name is Todd Cochran. And of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Rob Greenlee. Rob, how you doing?
Doing terrific, Todd. How are you today?
This morning it was like I got out of bed, kind of wandered, around in my loft, and got a shower. Was looking at my watch, and I better get out of here. I'm going to be late. I got down here to the studio, got everything set up, and I'm like, wow, I'll be right on time for Rob. And I looked at my watch, and it was like 10:45. I was like, oh. I was an hour early. So I actually waited till 11 o'clock, and I drove down the street and got me an Arby's sandwich and came back and had lunch.
Sounds like sometimes being early like that is a good thing.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. But anyway, it's better than, waking up an hour late like I used to do when I was in Hawaii. But
right.
So, boy, oh boy, it's just been busy. And I just want to comment on the state of things. I've been noticing that Facebook is getting more hostile. Not in the podcasting forums, but just general.
You're talking about Facebook corporate and their content review policies? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm just talking about people in Facebook in general.
Are
getting more nasty and taking barbs, and there's people that are severely pissed off, and then there's people that are saying this is a conspiracy. Then there's
there's a lot of conspiracies.
A lot of stuff going, and then our state, they just shut down. People here, it's spring, so people are getting ready to plant their gardens and everything else, and the governor just shut off access to garden supplies and stuff like that. So people are all pissed off because this was an outside activity they're going to be able to do, and they cannot now get their garden supplies. And they're like, what? The Best Buy was already limiting how many people could go into the store from social separation. And then they say, oh, it's not an essential. You're gardening. For some people, garden stuff is essential. That's what feeds them through the winter here. So, I don't know. It's just a lot of craziness, lots of, mixed signals, mixed messages. It's a definite communications workout for governments at this point. And I think some are doing it better than others.
Well, I would think that there's a lot of frustration out there right now, a lot of, cabin fever kind of stuff going on. People are clashing with family members. I mean, if you think about how people are cooped up together.
This is what we've seen, when I was in the Navy, me and my shipmates would load up, we would deploy, and we would leave the wife and the kids, and we'd go for 30, 60, 6 months, whatever it may be, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, come back, and you've been off working that whole time. They've been stuck with the kids, so you get home, and you're in like this mode of not always being home. So you come in and you try to, you had to like phase back in. So what people have had to do here is, there's probably been families where maybe whoever's the primary breadwinner has been out a lot. He comes home at night. So there's like these new changing, defining of roles. I'm sure there has been some hellacious fight, and tension in houses, and there's either one of two things going to be: a lot of divorces or a lot of babies.
Yeah, I've heard people talking about that's exactly what we're going to see come out of this, is a lot of filings for divorce.
Finally figure out that I could. My grandmother had a great saying many years ago. She says it's not what you love about a person, it's what you can put up with. And and she told me that in her 90s. I thought that's pretty good advice. It's easy to love. It's the stuff that if you can put up with the stuff that annoys you, you make it.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oh, so anyway, but yeah, I don't know. But at this time though, I kind of titled this show, I think podcasters are needed more than ever. I think where our content is needed. I think that the message we're putting forth is needed. The help my team was talking about it on Friday. What are you seeing? What's coming in? What are people's needs? And it went right back to core in that a lot of podcasters need a lot of help right now. So we're just making sure we're knowing,
right.
Letting, at least my team is trying to verbalize socially and, hey, we're here for you. We're here to help if you need help. And we'll give you extra help at this time. We'll take the extra time with you, call us, and all that stuff. So I think that's a big part of this right now.
Yeah, and I know that there was an article that came out in the podcast Business Journal yesterday. Rob Walsh wrote an article about the stats around downloads, whether it's declining or increasing, or whatever. There's been a lot of people talking about that. I know an article appeared in the New York Times as well, talking about how people are changing their consumption of content, where they're doing it, where they're spending their time, right? And it looks like mostly all of the online properties like Netflix and YouTube, people are spending more time, actually on those platforms. They're spending more time in Facebook, and like you were saying earlier, people seem to be a little bit more aggressive on Facebook, and maybe that has something to do with people are getting a little bit, cabin fever, or they're getting, a little frustrated because they can't do the normal things that they like to do.
And I normally give people a lot of the benefit of the doubt, and I'm not one to put people on 30-day vacations in Facebook, but I don't need at this, here we're all already stressed.
Right.
I don't need this extra someone on blast.
Right.
So I'm just, not even commenting. I'm just putting people on a 30-day hiatus. I'll see them in 30 days, on Facebook. I'm not unfriending them and letting the people calm down.
Right. Well, it's almost like a road rage type of
it is.
People are out, frustrated because they're in traffic, and they're kind of lashing out.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
People are frustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of finger pointing, and just. I heard this. I woke up this morning, and the first thing I heard was that the governor of California extended their lockdown to May 15th. And I thought, okay, so yes, control the spread, all that stuff. But is he really, really thinking about this? This is financially. We've been at this now here. I think we just finished week 4 here in Michigan.
I think this is a month now for the lockdown. Right?
Yeah, for week 4, and we've got at least 3 more weeks before there's even some consideration of some states maybe getting some breathing room. So, and he just extended them another 6 weeks or another month.
Right. Well,
what are those people? There has to be a solution. And again, I know this is way beyond the show, but there's a lot of people on bread. I'm thankful. I got a job. I'm working.
Right.
Okay. There's people that are not.
I mean, but Todd, in some ways, this is a life and death decision, right?
What
do we value more?
So,
do we value life, or do we value our economy?
It doesn't help if they starve to death and are on the street.
I know. I agree with you. This is when we need government to be doing good stuff. And unfortunately, we didn't get that.
Well, again, states are responsible for taking care of their people. And a lot of states are very, very, very well, very, very, very much underprepared.
Right.
So,
and the federal government hasn't been the best either.
Well, some countries, they've been told, you think about this country, everyone's getting a check. Most people are getting some money, and saw this morning, some people said thank you for their $1,200 or whatever they're getting in their checking account. So, but here's the problem, people want to complain about our government. You go ahead and live in some other country where they just basically saying, stay in your home, don't come out or we will shoot you. And no, there's no relief. There's no money. There's nothing.
Right.
There's nothing.
Right.
So when I hear people start crying that our government is not doing enough, I'm like, okay, please stop,
Yeah. Yeah, but we are the richest country in the world.
And we are giving
I think we would have done done a better job.
And we are giving people money, and they're getting additional money on unemployment, and they've changed the rule. So it's not all doom and gloom. So, but still,
no, it's not. But
I'm at a point now too where you're cutting out a little bit.
I mean, I am. I mean, you think back to the 1918 pandemic where we lost 30, 50 million people. I don't even know if they know what the exact number was back then. If you compare that to what's happening now, it's we're certainly not going to get that many people get killed from this, but that's a testament to our capabilities now.
I'm still of the opinion that at some point something has to give. Regardless, we can't live like this for 18 months. It's just not, the whole world can't. Or if it is, it will be in a global depression. Everyone will be out of work.
Right.
So anyway, we'll see. But going back to my point, we have to have podcasters creating content right now because people are seeking. Right. I believe they're seeking content in a lot of categories.
Right.
Sports guys are like dying. Anyone that's a hardcore sports fan, this is like a 12-step plan.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
there's nothing going on with that.
No. So if you're a sports guy, maybe you need to be becoming a little more creative in your content. Right. And reviewing past stuff and talking about coming drafts and potential, what's going to happen. The key is I really think we have to remain positive. If we're coming across in our shows as doom and gloom, people are going to tune out. So, someone said to me the other day, "You're quite the optimist." Well, I have to be an optimist at this point. We have to be optimistic.
Yeah.
Because all we're hearing from everyone else is, "Oh my God, the sky is falling."
Yeah, I keep thinking about how all this is going to change the culture and the world and what we all expect, and what our behaviors are going to have to be after all this. I think it's fundamentally changed. I don't know that we've seen the full impact of the changes that are going to be on us after this. So
time will tell. Hey, if you're on Facebook and you're just hanging out, make sure you say hello. I see a number of you in there, and only Kim and Stephanie have checked in. So make sure you check in and say hello. But this is our twice weekly now podcast.
Right.
And if you guys don't want to hear us talking about the world in general, tell us to be quiet and talk about podcasting. But I think in the scheme of things, it all kind of ties together.
Well, it does. And I'm trying to tie it in too, with what people are doing on their devices. These articles that have come out about the growth of the medium. I know you put out some numbers, Todd, that was saying that your platform is relatively flat.
Yeah.
I know Rob Walsh put out some detailed data about what's happening on Libsyn, and we're off around 12% on average across the whole network, and it appears to be those numbers appear to be going up to some degree, as far as higher than 12%. So hopefully that is not indicative across the whole medium. I don't. Some other platforms are saying that the numbers are off in single digits. So I think it depends on the content composition of your network, what you're seeing in these numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. I don't know if I have access to this yet. Let me look, because we have some. I think we're having some more stuff come out on Monday. And
you're talking about more data coming out?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. Let me look. Yeah, so basically, we did a survey, and of course, that's real scientific. Tom, if you're watching, our survey was very, very super sophisticated. We asked in the Blueberry channel what individual podcasters, active podcasters, are seeing. They said 50% said downloads unchanged, 25% download increase, 25% downloads decrease. So again, the survey data we did on our our quote unquote scientific survey was even Steven, just same as our results.
Well, I think that the across the board agreement is that weekend downloads has gone up generally. It's the weekday downloads, and that actually, in some ways, that makes sense because those are times when people have consumed during the commute, and that has gone away. So, and the numbers generally on the weekends were much lower. So, there's a shift in what people are doing from a consumption standpoint. So I think it'll go back to what it was once we start commuting again, but, who knows when that is.
Yeah. So question. One gal, said that she'd seen an increase of 13 to 25%, but it basically got her caught up to where she had seen a dip last year in her show.
Oh,
so she'd already seen a dip in her podcast before. Another gal said that did an anime podcast had seen a definite increase, and when we asked to provide more details, so she thinks on her show, or this gentleman thinks on his show is because of the need for entertainment. And another person said, okay, he saw a decrease in his downloads, and he does one of his shows is a homeschool podcast, has seen a recent increase, but because he stopped producing episodes back in July, that show's dropped off anyway. So, but some of the other stuff he's done, so it runs the gamut here on why people's stuff is up and down.
Right. I think it maps to certain genres of content. People have changed their consumption patterns and what they're listening to.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we're seeing these big fluctuations. Well, Todd, did you see the announcement that Voxnest and Spreaker did a deal with the Nielsen folks for better ad targeting?
Oh, great.
Did you see that?
Well, I'm glad they're doing that. We've been tracking Nielsen metro areas for a couple of years, so I'm glad they got caught up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, have you been... Yeah, did you do a deal with Nielsen?
No, we just use we track we know the Nielsen metro areas, and we report the Nielsen metro areas.
Okay. Okay, so you don't have to have a Nielsen deal for that.
No, we don't have to write them a check.
Gotcha. Is there any concerns that you have about a platform doing a deal with Nielsen on privacy?
Well, that's the users of those platforms' issues to resolve. They're going to have to look at their terms of service. I don't know. What do you think, Rob? I don't know what they're sharing.
Well, I mean, if they're doing, increased targeting, they must be sharing basic data about their users. Now, what's unique about Spreaker is that they do have a login, situation there for many of their listeners, as well as their podcasters, obviously. So they do have a listening platform. So they can capture basic demographic data, right? Like age and sex and, and overall income and things like that. So they can get basic information about the audiences to these shows, but it's just a sampling. But that certainly could be mapped over to the demographic profile of an advertiser over on the Nielsen platform that could be applied to shows that could be available for download off of other platforms as well, not just Spreaker.
The more I talk to podcasters, the more I get the feeling that the majority of them don't care about their listeners' privacy. So I don't know if that topic is already flew the coop or not. So kind of discouraged about it, but what can you do?
Yeah. Well, and you think about the future of what's going on in the world right now. I think we're going to have a serious clash on privacy.
Well, I talked about here's something interesting, and I don't know if you read my post from yesterday. You'll remember about maybe a year and a half ago, I was talking about tags. Remember those tags I used to talk about?
Right.
So for those of you that weren't around at the time, I had it was fantastic. It was the best guerrilla marketing thing ever invented. I would buy a little tag, and in that tag, it was basically, if you had your Bluetooth turned on and you came within range of that tag, it would send you a message. It would say, "Hey, come on in for a hamburger," or whatever it may be. And I had tags in my car, businesses. I took them to CES. We were using them for guerrilla marketing, for selling podcast hosting we would take them to podcast hosting events and have them kind of strategically placed around the place. So as people will walk around, they would get hey, come to the Blueberry booth or something like that, Right. And it was incredible. People would come and say, "How did you tag me today?" I'd be like, secret weapon, right? This Bluetooth tagging. So Google closed that loophole
so it doesn't work anymore.
About a year ago, it doesn't work anymore. Unless you have an app. If you have an app, that Bluetooth tracking still works. So if you have a Walmart app or Meijer app or whatever it may be, you can almost be guaranteed that when you go into, let's say, a Walmart and you're walking the aisles and you stop, let's just say you stop in front of the condom counter, okay? Just using this as a example. And you hang out there for 30 seconds, then move on. It's more than likely Walmart knows that from your app, you stopped in front of that counter, or you stopped in automotive, or wherever it may be. I just use this to dramatize a little bit here, obviously.
Right.
So and at the same time, if you take something off the shelf through RFID, Walmart knows something has went off the shelf, and their supply chain can track and repopulate shelf. That's a whole different topic. But this Bluetooth technology, it can be embedded in an app, and you'll never know it. So that when you walk into a store and you have Bluetooth turned on, that store's tracking you wherever you go. And if they want, they could push deals to your phone. Now, most don't do that because that's giving up the data. So Apple and Google now, and everyone's talking about it, is going to use Bluetooth to track us and see if we became close to somebody with COVID-19.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be Bluetooth. I think
that's part of it. That's
GPS,
a big, initially it's going to be, the initial big piece of it will be Bluetooth because of this proximity stuff they've already got built into, because you're indoors. So maybe location data isn't going to work so good indoors.
So you're talking about phone to phone.
Phone to phone.
Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Phone to phone.
Okay. Phone to phone.
Phone to phone. So, so you've loaded their app. You've said, yes, I would love to know if I was next to anyone that's COVID-19. And the app is now going to supposedly, again, we haven't seen it yet, but I know a lot of people don't like to be tracked no matter what. They turn the location data off for Google. And you know what? We need to get you a window, because John C. Dvorak counts the number of cars going by on the train. He says, the Zephyr had seven cars today. We need to have you looking out the window and counting the cars. That way we know what the economic prosperity of America is by the number of cargo cars. I'm just joking here, but.
Oh, is that a metric?
Yeah, that's what they do. It's what they do is when the Zephyr goes by, if there's 5 cars, that means the economy's down. There's not as many people traveling. And when there's 8 or 9, it means the economy's up. And because the car count had been continually going up on No Agenda, 8, 9. And then as soon as COVID hits, the number of car numbers started coming down. But you think about it, that's the kind of, it's like real world intelligence on, how many people are moving around.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see what happens with this tracking, but I think most Americans, well, I heard it already. I saw a fight. How dare you not be willing to run the app and help people stay safe?
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, there you go.
And then another person says, and the other says that.
And is this going to have an impact on podcasting at all?
We're not. Well, okay. So, so let's just wait.
That's open the Pandora's box on that one.
Yeah, so let's open it. Right. So the government already admitted, and I saw it Tuesday of last week, the government already admitted that they're using public ad data. They're using tracking from IP data that's being paid. So let's say you go to Meijer's or you go to whatever your local Sam's, or say, and you're using their app, they're using public data already to tell public data the migration of people and where they're going.
Right.
What their habits are. Are they staying home? Are they moving around? They're already using public data to track this. The government's already admitted to that.
Right.
And now they're going to tie in this other piece, probably location data, Bluetooth, proximity, all this.
Right.
Rob, that just, so some will say, how dare you not be willing to be tracked? Some people are going to be shamed. They're going to be shamed into it. So the next question is will podcasting companies start selling IP data based upon where? No, mine isn't.
Well, and also, how does this all clash with the EU's new privacy laws and the California privacy laws?
In a state of emergency, in which we are in, I think all that stuff is out the window. I think they can throw a whole bunch of they can lock you up.
And some countries are doing that.
Well, in this country, they can. In state of Hawaii, they're arresting people. If you're caught violating stay at home, they are arresting you right now. They've stopped giving tickets. They're arresting.
Doesn't arresting you actually violate the social distancing?
Well, you are, I don't know what they're doing with them after they arrest them, but, $5,000 or 1 year. So they're arresting people for violating stay at home. So we are, they can do, I think there's a lot of stuff that can be done in a national emergency. They could, we're not in a, what do you call it? Stay at home is just another words for, what is it? It's not confinement. It's, not martial law. There's another word for it.
Well, it is a little bit of a martial law.
That's a little bit,
there,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not being called that.
No, it's not being called it. No. Yeah, there's another word for it. Someone will help me out here in the chat room. Hey, Gary. Hey, Rick. Hey, Sherry. Thanks for joining us. So I don't think it's going to affect podcasting, but I think people are going to.
Well, but it might, right? It might open the door. I mean, unless those laws only apply to certain commercial use.
Again, It's not illegal. Just so everybody knows, in the United States, it is not illegal for you get permission to track your location data. Go into, those of you that are listening, okay.
Well, is location data considered in all these laws to be restricted user data?
I don't know.
I don't know that it is.
I don't know. So go into Google. Well, just go to google.com and type in clear Google location data. And that's going to give you the information essentially you need to know on how to use your phone to go and look at what it's tracked from you. If you've never looked at this, it's quite fascinating that you actually can load a map. And if you've never done this, please do this. Day by day, it shows you where you have been. Hour by hour, minute by minute, it shows where you have, if you've had your phone with you, with location data turned on, it shows you where you have been it goes back for years.
Right. Yeah.
For years.
All they have to do is map that data up with and find where people have crisscrossed the same path.
That's right. And if they're using this proximity stuff now, so some people are going to say, oh, this is best. So this is going to make it so that, but my challenge is Rob, if you and I cross paths, and it says you and I cross paths at Costco, Rob, are you going to be mad at me for giving you COVID-19?
Well, that's how they're going to track who you potentially exposed to the virus if you had the virus, right? So they can go round up all the people that you were in contact with,
and
put them in quarantine.
That's right. So I think that
sounds a little draconian to me.
Yeah, and so anyway, I think we're in a situation now where, we were talking about all this stuff about podcasts measurement companies giving attribution data to advertisers. This is nothing. This is just that's almost like, oh, that's that's how should we say, that's nothing compared to what probably is coming. Right. So, being a techie,
which means that the landscape has changed. This is another area where the landscape has changed.
Yeah.
And it may be that we all have to get tested for antibodies and whether or not we have the virus on a regular basis.
So we're going to walk around with a Gestapo card that gives us passes to go places.
Well, that's already happening in I think it was in China, right?
So you're going to get a Gestapo pass to be on the street.
Right. So there's an app in China right now that you have to run that's either like green or red, right? If you get a green icon on your phone, that means that you can't travel. Or a red icon.
Are Americans going to put up with that? Yeah. I'm not going to put up with that.
Some will, some won't.
I'm not. No way. You have to have a Gestapo card to come out of your house and to go in the public. No, thank you. I think most Americans would shudder. They say, "Oh, it's extreme times."
Right.
This country is about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Right.
All right.
Can you have that in a pandemic, Todd? That's the question.
Yes, it is a fundamental part of this country. You can't take away, you cannot permanently take away people's freedoms and deny their pursuit of happiness and deny their liberty.
Right.
Yeah, someone's come up to you and they say, "Where are your papers? Give me your papers. Show me your papers before you can go into the store."
Now it's, show me your app.
I don't have a phone. That'll be my response. And then they'll say, "Show me your papers."
That's it. Turn around, sir, and the handcuffs go on.
They'll force us to have papers to travel, but they won't ask for our papers to go vote. So
there's no mail voting either, I've noticed.
There's most states have absentee ballots. Nothing's going to change the absentee ballots.
Oh, yeah.
File for your absentee ballot now.
Well, I've been voting by mail for like 20 years.
Yeah. So, because I don't like going to the polling place. So
who does?
Anyone can. That's what's so funny. Anyone, even today in most states, you can file for absentee, and they're making it all politicized. Nothing has changed. File for an absentee ballot.
Right.
It's like they think Americans are stupid. We're not stupid. Come on, you can absentee ballot vote. Oh my gosh, we're getting a little political. But anyway, I think that
yes, we are. Yes.
I don't know. We'll see. What's this audience think? You really have an app?
Yeah. I was just raising the question because I'm thinking that a lot of these privacy restrictions that we've been worried about in the podcasting space, I agree with you, they're kind of going out the window.
Yeah. Well, no one's talked about it yet, but probably some people are going, "Oh yeah." Marketeers are like, yes, lightning of, we can do more tracking and more targeting and.
Right.
I know that.
But does it really make that big of a difference? That's the thing.
Well, because we're already being tracked and most other things we've already gave permission to.
Right.
Yeah, probably Facebook and Amazon alone could probably do all this tracking and sell that data to the government, and we would never know anyway. And all of us that are privacy advocates have already opted into Facebook and Amazon tracking. So it's kind of funny. On the one hand, we say, no, we don't want to be tracked by some COVID-19 app. At the same time, we've already opted in to be tracked by Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Google.
It's definitely happening over there.
So,
yeah.
And speaking of which, right there was my Google Home. I am 20 feet from my Google Home app, and it heard me. It heard me talking, and it reacted. Yes, Big Brother is always listening. Or Big Google.
Or Big Amazon.
Yeah, that's right. So what, I guess, we did the midweek thing, and talked about quite a bit what's going on. I don't think there was a lot of crazy podcasting news the rest of the week. There was a few things that came out, but it's going to load here.
Well, that New York Times article that came out was talking about how more people are using desktop computers now.
Yep.
So device usage has probably changed a little bit, I would think.
Here's the funny thing. I was talking with someone I guess it was Thursday, and they said, "Oh yeah, my son went out to." She lives down in Ohio, and so my son went out and bought the parts and put a computer together for me. And I'm like, "You didn't have a computer already in the house?" She goes, "No, I just used a tablet and my mobile. I didn't have an actual computer in the home, only at work, but I needed to be able to work from home, so he had to build me a computer." And I'm like, "Your work didn't let you bring your computer home?" She says, "No, but in order to work, I had to have a computer." And it kind of like struck me kind of weird because I don't know. I'm just used to having a computer or a laptop or something with me at almost all times. So
right, I'm the same way. Yep.
So it was kind of telling to me. Another thing that was out in the podcasting news, and this is kind of interesting: 1 in 4 women in Saudi Arabia listen to podcasts every week. Says a new research from Marketing. 15% of the country listens every week, putting the country roughly on par with the UAE. So more than 9 out of 10 people in the kingdom trust podcasts more than any other medium. So that's another thing too. It's about trust in the medium. I think people trust.
Is there any restrictions on access to specific content though?
Oh, I'm sure. When I was when I was deployed in Bahrain, and Bahrain is considered to be pretty liberal for a Muslim country, there was still a lot of sites I couldn't get to through their local country firewall.
Right.
So I would have to VPN around that at times. So
yeah, and there's some new, platforms that are going to be launching with podcasts here soon as well. So outside of the US. So it's going to be interesting to see how that changes the overall numbers too, as this medium becomes more global in its scope. I mean, it's always been global, but it's just being supported more and more outside of the US.
Let's see what else can I find here. We already talked about the Voxnest stuff, and what do you think about Squadcast and their partnership with Dolby Laboratories? We talked a little bit about this in the Podcast Insider. We've been
That's about audio quality, right?
Yeah, but we've been big proponents of never touching anyone's audio. We let them upload their audio. We don't manipulate it. We don't change the quality. What do you think about someone that is going to be doing automatic leveling and noise reduction? And I don't know. I don't know if I would agree with someone touching my audio.
Well, it's only good if it improves it. Right?
So are they going to make is it an option? Can I turn this on or off?
Well, I think it's the same thing that a lot of podcasters worry about when it comes to using Skype too. There's a setting in there that has a auto leveling capability that can create weird dynamics in the audio, right?
Yeah.
So, if it compromises the audio in somehow in a way that conflicts with one's ability to control your audio based on the kind of microphone you have or your mixer and your volume levels, whatever. I mean, if it makes it less pleasant of a listening experience, then it's like shooting yourself in the foot for Squadcast to do this. I think the proof is in the pudding, though. I mean, it's hard to make. I think it's hard to make a judgment like that across every content creator. To apply, some algorithm to their audio, because a lot of content creators maybe don't need the help. So it should be an opt-in situation, and if it is, then give it a try, see if it improves your audio. If not, but if it's a default for everyone and you can't turn it off, I agree with you, Todd. That's probably not a good thing.
I had a logo that I ran on not this show's audio, but my solo show audios when I was living in Hawaii.
Right.
And that had been designed by Paul Fagiani. He'd put together a logo to help with my because of the dynamics of the room and everything. And since I've been in here, I don't know if he's paid attention to the audio, but he hasn't send me a logo yet. Probably should have him look at it. But and it really made a big difference because it was designed specifically for the soundscape of my room.
Right.
And here, the room has already been audio conditioned. And they've got a pretty good food chain from an audio quality standpoint, so it doesn't really require a lot of tweaking. But, Rob, you and I are kind of the outliers. A lot of people are not on as good of equipment.
Right. That's true. So it could help. I mean, I'm tempted to go into Squadcast and check it out and see if it's an option or if it's a default. Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess we'll just see on all this stuff. But again, I go back to my original premises at the beginning of today is that we really should be, really hunkering down and make sure we're doing our shows. I think the audience needs us more than ever. Now, one thing I did find that I should mention is that we talked about PodTrack on the last show about this new subscription they're selling for $3,600 a year. And I found the source page for that with information on it. And I see if I can put it up on the screen here. I guess I'm not. Why is that not updated? Let me open this app and make sure I'm. Oh, that's dumb. All right. So let me switch us in here. So their report basically says, and this is a sample of it, it says PodTrack Podcast Audience Category Ranking Top Podcast Society and Culture, February 2020. It's got U.S. category rank, podcast name, publisher, got U.S. monthly audience, U.S. monthly global downloads, month-over-month U.S. audience change, and year-over-year U.S. audience change. So I'm looking at this. I'm thinking, okay, that's interesting. And then at the bottom, it says, there's a highlight that says, publisher has opted not to disclose those metrics. So it appears that they are making people opt in to showing all the metrics. They're showing the ranking. They're still showing the show's ranking. But in the disclaimer, they're saying that the show has opted not to disclose the actual metrics. So here's my problem with this.
Right.
If you're number 7, you can look at number 6 and you can look at number 8 and do an A/B comparison between those two rankings and get a pretty idea where number 7 was if 7 opted out not to share those metrics.
All right.
So is this still fair to a podcaster who has opted out of not reviewing metrics to be shown in their ranking sheet?
Right. Right. Because it's in a range.
It's in a range.
Yeah. Well, that, and plus it also means me anyway that that there's a lot of content that's missing in that ranking. So the whole purpose of a ranking chart is to take a total market and rank it, not a fraction of the market and rank it.
And at the same time, is a show then pressured to show their numbers if they show up in this chart? Or of course, no one's seen this, because, no one's sharing it on fear that they'll get sued by PodTrack. Again, if anyone will send me an email, I'd love to see one of these. And we'll be very quiet about it. But top measured show identified based on estimated monthly unique audience and are listed in alphabetical order. Top unmeasured shows are identified based. How can they do that? Top unmeasured shows are identified based on estimated monthly unique audience and are not listed in alphabetical order. I don't understand that either. Oh, they've got a list below. Top 30 measured shows, top 10 unmeasured shows. So how can they even make that? How can they even make that?
Unmeasured shows?
Top 10 unmeasured shows in this category.
I don't understand how that even works.
I don't either. I really don't.
Huh.
A
lot of games being played here.
So, yeah. Keyword is games, in my opinion, as well as yours.
Yeah, right.
So, podcasters, have you opted in to be part of this top 30 list?
Well, I'd like to hear what the percentage of shows that are using the PodTrack, prefix.
Well, we could probably
1%.
I could probably have Angela look that up. That's about as easy as of a thing to come up with, but I'm sure we've got that number somewhere. But they claim to be doing measuring 1 billion downloads a month. That's
so
what
it's still just
what they're claiming. Yeah,
just a sample. I don't even know what the percentage.
They're claiming to be. They're claiming to be the number one measurement of podcasts, which makes me laugh. Because you can say, okay, number one of what? Number one measurement of big shows. Number one measurement of, there's 25 ways to spin that. I could say I'm the number one measurement of shows, and that would be in quantity, maybe not in total downloads.
Right.
Could make that claim, and maybe that isn't true.
And Triton has a ranker now too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we just had
that public info?
We just had someone move off Triton, came back to use our ad insertion system.
Right.
With issues.
Yeah, I just went to Triton to try and look it up to see what they're showing. I don't know if you want to try and pull it up, Todd.
Hey, Rob. Rick is asking Rob, who's a sponsor this week? Coca-Cola?
Yes. I'm getting a big check from them.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you a Coca-Cola fan, Rob?
I've
never seen you drink a Coke.
I don't actually drink pop, so it's okay.
Oh, you call it pop. All right.
Yes.
Where did you grow up?
Where did I grow up?
Yeah.
In the Seattle area.
They call it pop in Seattle, huh?
Yes, I've called it pop for my whole life. So, so the last ranker that I see off of Triton was January.
Was January. 20. So they're a little behind.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm trying to. Okay. Number one on that one is iHeartRadio or iHeartMedia Network is the number one. And number two is Talpa Network.
Who?
TALPA Network.
Okay.
It drops dramatically from iHeart. It says, Sales Network. Okay, so ranked publisher, iHeartRadio, Priza Radio, Talpa Radio is number 3. NPR member stations is number 4. Radio.com is number 5. Cumulus Streaming.
There's Talpa. I don't know if that's Dutch
German.
Or
is it German? Dutch.
It looks Dutch.
Dutch, right? And number 6 is Cumulus Streaming Network. The other is 7 is Bell Media. Number 8 is AccuRadio. AccuRadio? Wait a minute. Is this podcasting or is this streaming?
I think some of it's streaming, it sounds like. Because again,
yeah, this must be streaming. Webcast. But I typed in trying to find the podcast.
Talpa, I did the English translation to their page, and they said that they have radio and TV. They're a radio and TV network. So it must be they've got some podcasts tied to their radio stuff or something.
So, okay, so here's podcast metric. Let's go look at that. Can I see that? Learn more.
Probably one of those buttons is going to say, give me your credit card.
It doesn't actually give you, I can't find it. It's not coming up.
All right.
So it must be a private ranker then.
Yeah.
Only for their paying customers, I guess.
So, lots of trackers out there, public and private.
Yep, and none of them are accurate to anything.
To one another, especially.
Right.
Yeah.
They're trackers of their customers.
Right.
That's what these things are, or their particular platform users. How can that be an industry ranker? It can't be.
You see what Dominion says here, right?
What does it say?
That's a hand. That's a thumbs down.
Oh, thumbs down.
Thumbs down. Yeah.
Got it. I guess Hernan from Wondery was arraigned yesterday.
Oh, I didn't see that news. Any new news on that front?
Nah, just that I'm sure that they pleaded not guilty to wire fraud and money laundering.
And it doesn't appear Wondery's doing anything about him, so looks like he's still going to be running the show over there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's true.
I don't know if my company would be so forgiving.
Well, I mean, technically, he hasn't been convicted of anything.
Right? I know, but usually, those types of cases, a lot of times companies will distance themselves.
Right.
But who knows?
It's not a big company.
Right, that's true too. But hey, I did hear. Have you ever heard of the Cannonball Run?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, during this slow time of traffic, someone did a run last week, and they broke the record by an hour and 10 minutes, doing New York to Los Angeles in 26 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, probably how should we say, violating every speed limit in every state in between.
Yeah. Well, that's the point, right?
Yeah. Right. So, I was going to actually look, and I was going to do a Google here, just, a little fun Cannonball distance in miles. And let's see what is the actual response. Oh, no. Cannonball Run. Yes, a cannonball can be shot about 10 miles.
10 miles. Wow.
Okay, the Cannonball Run distance in miles is 2,825 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So they made it in 26 hours and 38 minutes. So, some simple math there.
Yeah. The average speed was what?
2825 divided by 26, let's say 26.5. That is an average of 106 miles an hour per hour.
Oh my goodness.
So that there was some places that they dare not run 106. So
right. And then there's other places that they exceeded 106.
Right. And apparently the car they had that they did this was capable of like 180 miles per hour.
Oh, okay. Ooh, wow.
So the 2,825 miles was, covered an average speed of 106. Now, the previous record, which is held for a couple of years, let's see here. Let me. It averaged 102 miles per hour. So it's gonna, the goal of that group has been to be able to get it under 24 hours. I just don't, to do that in 24 hours. Let me just quick math here. It requires an average speed of 117 miles per hour. How did they, you think about that? They must have had a lot of help, because the cop, I saw a car pulled over on a country road this morning coming into the office here. So the police still have to be out there, but it doesn't look like they're out there much.
Right. So Todd, I found a press release off of Pod News talking about the Intercom folks putting out a press release saying that they are delivering double-digit growth across all major podcast categories.
Over what period of time, though?
Let's see here. It looks like, do they say? Let's see. They actually don't specifically. I would say since February 14th. Oh, wow. There you go.
Huh.
Yeah. This says it also announced new record listenership of 28 million listeners worldwide during March.
I just don't see. I think
it's spinning the numbers. Is it since February 14th? It says growth
is double.
It says
very few networks grow double from. I'd find that hard to believe that they've doubled since February 14th.
Yeah, there's no evidence that any other content platform is showing these kind of growth numbers.
Yeah, so the devil's in the details there, I think.
Yeah, because they are doing it since February 14th, which was really before this major lockdown happened.
So did they add a bunch of shows? Did they add some more people to their network? How did they get double?
Well, they did. Looks like they do list some new shows. It says now this is content that's being produced by Cadence 13 and Pineapple Street Studios. Is what it is. And since February 14th, the listenership for Entercom podcasts is up across virtually all categories, including 60% across society and culture podcasts, 34% in true crime, 27% with news and politics, 26% in music, 23% in arts. Best performing new titles from Cadence 13 include Unlocking Us with Brené Brown, which launched on February 14th and debuted as the #1 show in the country. Let's see, American Dissected Coronavirus, a leading voice in the crisis conversation that catapulted to be one of the most popular podcasts.
So they said their listenership has doubled, but they said only these categories went up 26 or 27%. That's some weird math.
Yeah, it does. Well, I think they're spinning it. And then source is Podtrac.
Oh.
So it says weekly downloads. Yeah, even Podtrac shows downloads dropping from from March 9th through the 23rd. It shows a sharp decline.
Is Podtrac doing has met Entercom in their ranking chart?
I'm assuming so.
So if you look between February and March, that's going to give you the answer.
Right.
If they've doubled. So anyway, lots of little PR games going on.
Right.
So I am going to say that we are, just as a way of self-promotion here, we're going to be making 2 announcements. The main announcement we are going to be making next Wednesday, we're going to push to a week from Wednesday, and we're going to be making another announcement on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So those of you that are, let me just give a little hint. Any of you that have a relationship with Amazon will have a announcement on Wednesday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything about that.
Okay. And it's probably going to be different than what you think it might be, Rob.
It very well could be, Todd. There's other stuff brewing with other big players out there too right now.
Oh, really?
One of them begins with a G, the letter G.
Oh, Google, huh?
Yes.
So when is their announcement coming?
Soon.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, ours is probably not as big as that one, but yeah, we'll have some new stuff to talk about. We'll probably talk about it on the podcast next Thursday.
Google's made some pretty cool moves. They added iOS app. That's pretty cool. So I think they're starting to get it together.
Wow, that's good. Is it going to impact us as hosting providers?
Well, like we talked about it on an episode earlier, it's raising the bar a little bit. Are we going to see Apple put out a podcast app on Android because of it?
Yeah. Oh, you avoided a question. Good politician there.
What's the talk about what you want to talk about?
That's Tom. Right. Now, what the real question was?
Ask it again, and let me see if I can come up with an answer.
So, is it going to affect hosting companies like Libsyn and Blueberry?
Yes.
Oh,
possibly.
Oh,
at some point.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not good.
Well, positively impact.
Oh, positively impact. Okay.
Yes. It's all about empowering the podcaster, right?
Yes.
And getting good data.
Oh.
Yes.
That's interesting. That's telling.
Well,
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Everybody's doing that now, right?
Right.
It's the cool thing to do.
Yeah, of course. Good. And then about 90% of podcasters will still not acknowledge Google even exists or that there is a Google podcast app.
Yeah.
How many shows do you listen? I'm still listening to a lot of shows. I'm still not hearing anyone talk about, all they talk about is Apple.
But that's because Google didn't have all this stuff in place that might be coming. So be coming.
Okay, well, we'll see. I'm not going to hold my breath even if they do announce it that podcasters are going to pay attention. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll get excited.
Well, if they start to see their numbers go up, they will.
Right. Oh, yeah.
They'll be paying attention big time.
And maybe some of the stuff I've been saying for years, maybe we'll start paying off for some podcasters that have been listening.
Right.
Yes.
And it might also wake up, Apple.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Well, you got to think about this as a competitive landscape now, right?
Yeah.
Spotify's, stealing share, and Pandora is going to steal share, and Google's trying to steal share. What's Apple going to do?
Oh, this is interesting. I just got an email from United. I don't understand why they're sending that to me now after months after. Anyway, whole different topic for the show. But as emails pop in, all these companies are trying to get you back in the airplane is what they're trying to do.
Is it safe to fly? That's the bigger question.
I think if I was, let's say I'm going to go to Denver, I would probably drive if I was going to go to Denver. If I was going to go to LA, I'd still fly.
Though I would say I saw a post, I don't know if it was on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, saying that, a person had recently flown and there was a flight that had like 3 or 4 people on it.
Right.
So, if you think about it from that perspective, it's probably pretty safe.
The bigger risk, I think, probably is in the airport. I think the airplanes have been kept pretty clean and they're doing a good job on that. And I would obviously,
if you're wearing a mask or something like that.
Well, a mask is not going to keep you from catching something. So unless you have an N95, which most people don't, unless you're the prepper there that has 5 boxes of them or whatever it is.
I have like 30 or 40 of them.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shouldn't have said that over the air. You'll need to barricade your doors because the Gestapo may come to take them from you.
You're right. Yeah, I bought those. I think maybe I've said this on a
you bought them years ago.
I bought those from the N1. What was it? The other big virus scare that we had like 10 years ago.
Here's my prediction: there's going to be massive businesses of people making masks and N95 type of. There's going to be huge. It's going to be a huge industry because everyone's going to be buying masks for the next 2 years.
Right.
So if you're in the mask making business, congratulations, you have just become the latest millionaire in America.
Well, that and fashion statement masks.
Right.
But you're already seeing those on Facebook.
But Instagram, to be fashion with function, fashion ones where they'll still kill you, still catch the virus, and fashion ones where they actually have true filtration. Now that's saying something.
Right.
So
And some are adding, electronics to it.
Right.
They'll be probably going to add microphones to these things too.
Have a Bluetooth mask, so you're not talking like Darth Vader.
And there's going to be like speakers, and you listen to music via your mask.
Yeah. Hey, Rick, I didn't give mine away. Rick says, I think you guys gave it away there. Rick, I didn't. What I'm doing is different. So,
what you're doing is different?
Yes, what we're doing is different. It will be a first in the podcasting space.
A first?
A first. Yes.
First. With Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What might that be?
Yes. Well, let you decipher that for a few days.
Yes. Are you gonna wow me or shock me with this announcement?
No, you're just gonna say, "Damn, why didn't I do that?"
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Damn. Why didn't I do that?
I think the following week will be more of a shocker to you. So
there's more to come.
The second week announcement will be a bigger wower for you.
Wow.
Considering I've had my whole dev team on this since January, so yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, about 80% of my resources.
Don't tell me you're creating your own ranker.
That would not be a problem. I would just do it. I could do that right now. I could do an export, and I could rank them 1 to 45,000. No problem. Of those I measure, or 56,000, whatever it is. And believe me, I would be out of business the following week because there would be so many shows pissed that I release that information. I would be done. I would be fired. We would not have a new media show anymore.
They wouldn't.
Especially for those shows that get like 5 downloads per episode. You know, those ones that are at the bottom of the rank that haven't been producing a show for 3 years.
Oh, well, there's not many of those shows, Todd. So.
There's not a lot of dead shows? What do you mean? There's a graveyard of dead shows.
Pulling your leg.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. That's probably another thing to look at right now. How many active shows there are right now. Daniel, where are you?
Right.
And apparently we're going to go over 1 million shows according to Apple Podcasts very soon.
Right. Yeah.
Probably
because we're growing faster now than we were before.
Yeah.
But I also don't know. I mean, how many shows are kind of pod fading either.
Right.
So.
Right. But the podcast, we're already over 1 million in the Blueberry directory, but we know we've got some dupes. So, we're about 50,000 over 1 million.
Right. But, and if you're on Google, there's over 2 million now.
Yeah, that's a whole nother, someone ought to do some. Hey, that's a good thing for Cridlin to do. Go out there and do some investigative reporting and try to find out where those dupes come from. I think he actually thought some of it came from you guys. I think he did a little finger pointing here a week or so ago, didn't he?
I think around the HTTP issue, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't understand why Google would count that as a 2.
Right. Exactly. I would think that they would immediately default just to the HTTPS and ignore the HTTP.
Yeah.
That would be an easy database change.
Right.
So.
And if you're not on HTTPS yet, you need to get with it. If you're not, first of all, your media has to be HTTPS, which almost all hosting providers support. If they don't, then you need to move somewhere else. And then having HTTPS for your personal website. If you're on HTTP now with your personal website, you need to get that moving. Get an SSL certificate associated with it.
And I do, just based on what I know, that issue may be less of an issue in the future. So
you think so?
Yeah, just because of certain changes that are being made.
Where?
With Google.
Oh, well, Apple still wants you to be HTTPS.
No, I know. But I'm just saying this whole issue of duplication.
Oh, okay.
Will be slowly eliminated.
Rick, he continues to throw out hints, doesn't he? I guess I asked too many questions. I didn't get on the NDA on that. So.
So you can say whatever you want to say.
That's right. I can say whatever I want. I haven't been constrained. If Rob is constrained, that means Libsyn has some tactical advantage in this. So just don't, that's what it really is all about. If Rob knows
you think so?
Probably.
Probably. What are we going to do?
You're going to move to Blueberry.
Oh.
Especially considering
that brings up an old topic.
But, considering our, here's simple fact. I'm more than happy you guys keep building your shows over at libsyn.com something. We're quite happy to have our customers be on their.com something.
It's a clear decision scenario, right?
Oh, it's true. It's true.
Yes.
But and I think we feel like we're stretching here a little bit today.
Yes, I think we are.
Yeah.
Well, it's only 15 minutes early for us.
Yeah, and I think rather than bore you guys, does anybody want to call in and say hello? I've got the. Let me see if I've got it fired up.
Yeah, go ahead and jump on a call and let us know what you're seeing out there with your podcast. Or it's at GNC Pod 2, and that's POD the number 2. Just pull out your smartphone and give us a buzz.
Yeah, so let me bring the
Skype.
The graphic up. And all you got to do, though, you'll have to add us if you want to call in. You'll have to add GNC Pod 2 in your Skype. My nose is running. I didn't even drink a Red Bull.
And that's the number 2, GNC POD, the number 2 in Skype. Yeah. Let's see if somebody jumps on the opportunity.
Yeah,
Todd.
And it's about a minute behind on the live stream, so people will. And if anybody hasn't checked in yet on Facebook, please do so. I'm going to look and see if anybody said hello on YouTube. Rita said hello on YouTube. Beauty Bubble said hello on YouTube. Thanks for being over on YouTube. We appreciate that. Anyone that's on Twitter, thanks for being here as well. On Twitch. And we're on multiple Facebook pages as well. So
any interesting questions posed by our commenting?
No, it's just, I think people are curious of the information you're sitting on that you're holding so close and dear and secret, and don't want to violate the NDA so that you don't get banned from ever being talked to again.
Thanks for summarizing that, Todd.
Well, that's the point. That's the point of the NDA.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'll be honest with you, my sister called me this morning. She says, "Hey, you ready to go run chainsaw again?" I'm like, I've got a show to do. You guys can go ahead.
Yeah. Cut till your heart's content.
That's right. I actually may end up in the field later this afternoon anyway, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm one of the few that's trusted to run the chainsaw.
So are you doing any video stuff in your studio for your county or?
I have not had anybody call. So, stand by and ready. I think most people are just using Skype in their homes. That's what they're using. So.
Yeah.
It's available, but so far no takers.
Yeah.
And that's just as fine. It's just less exposure for me.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. So how many people like other humans do you see on a daily basis?
I don't see any other humans. I see right here. See you.
That's it, huh?
Yeah. And I interact with my mom and my sister, and
sure.
We basically live, within 100 feet of each other. So,
right.
But other than that, nobody. And if there's there's a business, the laundromat's next door, but I don't go in. Just from another standpoint of limiting exposure.
Exposure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. So I guess we're not having any takers today.
No, we're not. So we're going to go ahead and bust out of here. And, okay. Everyone, if you have comments on today's show, todd@blueberry.com, @Geek News on Twitter.
And I'm at Rob Greenlee, GREENLEE, on Twitter. And you can send me an email if you want to robg@libsyn.com.
And if you're bored on Wednesday, we'll be live again at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Pacific. On Wednesday, we'll do this again. Going to continue this up for the foreseeable future. It's not going to be forever.
It's not?
No, it's not. This means I'm doing like 6 podcasts a week, and it's already like enough. So,
okay.
Yeah. But anyway, otherwise, everyone thinks...
I thought maybe you were bored, and that's why you wanted to do another show. I pulled your leg.
Yeah. And, one thing is for sure is it does break up the week.
It does.
It does. It breaks up the week when I'm, on email or Slack or doing meetings. It gives me like 2 hours of pleasure, I guess is the better word. Because I do.
Well, I thought I was bringing some social interaction to your life.
me as well. We're doing our own self-therapy here, I think, right?
Right.
And that's another thing, too. Doing your podcast with your partner or doing with your co-host is a good form of therapy for times in which we live. All right, everyone. Hey, be safe out there. Keep podcasting. Keep creating great content. As I like to say, happy podcasting. We'll see you next time here on Wednesday on the New Media Show. Everyone, take care. Bye-bye.
Okay.